I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, Presidency of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to introduce our next Houston legend, none other than Nomaan Husain. He's a prominent attorney in our city and is very civically minded. Happy to have him joining us. You're going to learn a lot more about him and the reasons why we've asked him to serve as a Houston legend on this program. Thanks for joining us, Nomaan.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you to the Chamber for giving me such a prestigious honor.
Well, listen, we are out there watching. We see you so involved, not only here locally, but in Washington, D.C., and so engaged. You and I are fortunate to have been appointed to the Houston-Harris County Sports Authority, where great things are happening,
Absolutely.
as everyone knows. And it's just been a pleasure. I think we met in a leadership program a long, long time ago.
We don't want to talk about that.
We don't, but we've been fast friends ever since, Nomaan. And what a journey you have had from the University of Texas, going to law school, growing up in a smaller town, not Houston, but you're running in very big circles, Nomaan, and it's certainly very impressive, and it's very strategic. It's a lot of hard work. I know you travel internationally to represent your clients. How do you do all of this?
Well, I don't sleep much, and when I do, it's usually on planes. But credit goes to the leaders who came before me, because they blazed a trail that I could follow in their footsteps. And I'm trying to do the same for the leaders that are in our communities that are behind me.
Yes, and speaking of leaders, you currently were asked to chair a new council with Mayor Turner before his departure. Tell me about that.
So the mayor and his leadership has created a new advisory board, which is the advisory board relating to the Asian American Pacific Islanders community here in Houston. This community has grown in the last 50 years exponentially. It currently represents about 1.2 million people here in the greater Houston area. So the mayor wanted to involve the community a little bit more with the city, and so he created a board of leaders from the community, and he asked me to serve as chairman, which I'm honored to do. And the purpose of the board is basically threefold. First is to increase diversity and involvement of our community in the city boards and commissions. You and I are fortunate to serve on the Sports Authority, and we've also served on various other boards, but we feel like the minority community is a little bit underrepresented across the board and the various commissions. Yes. The second thing is to increase law enforcement awareness and interaction with our community and law enforcement. A lot of times our communities are unfairly targeted with hate crimes, so we're creating a bridge between our community and law enforcement. And lastly, comes down to business, which I'm sure being president of this chamber you'll appreciate, is to show our members and educate our members of how to get involved with the city, how to bid for contracts, and get more interaction between our community and the city as far as business relationships.
And it is very important, and we have to begin helping people understand how to help themselves, knowing that it's out there, how to get them registered, certified, all of those great things. And the city is very diversified, and we do have leaders here that understand that the economic well-being of Houston is really in the hands of so many minority groups, such as the Asian Pacificers and others, Hispanics included. And so it's good to see that. And you have been able to truly lead in a lot of ways. Your international reputation, your national reputation in Washington, D.C., and bridging that community with the local impact. Why is that so important to you? You could just be focused on your law business, but why is that such a focus for you?
Well, there's a saying that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And I believe that, being at the table is very important for all communities. And I have an opportunity to serve at that table at a national level, and I'm happy to do so. Making money is one thing, and it's great, don't get me wrong. But serving the community also has its own rewards, and it's very special to me. So that's why I go out of my way to try to do whatever I can to serve the community.
And you've done one thing that's, I think, really exciting, which is the Washington Fellows. Tell us about that.
So in 1964, President Johnson created a program called the White House Fellowship. And the White House Fellowship was a program where the president wanted to select up-and-coming leaders from around the country to serve in the White House under his administration. So obviously the president is very busy and doesn't have time to interview everybody that wants to be a White House Fellow. So he appoints a commission of about 20 citizens across the country to serve as White House Fellowship commissioners. When President Biden was sworn in, one of the first commissions he filled was this commission, and he asked me to serve, and I was honored to do so. So we meet about twice a year. We interview in Washington, D.C., the 50 finalists from around the country, and then we narrow that down to between 10 and 15 final recommendation candidates that we asked the president to appoint as his White House fellows. So it's been a very eye-opening experience. It's been very educational for me because there's lots of programs around the country that I didn't know about that these White House fellows belong to. And the president, to his credit, has gone out of his way to make the commission diverse, and therefore now the White House fellows are more diverse.
Well, that's what it's about. It's making sure that we are included and that our children have those opportunities. I want to talk to you a little bit about you coming to Houston. You were born and raised in a small town and ended up going to UT, but walk us through that journey a little bit.
Sure. My parents migrated to America in 1974 when I was 3 years old. My father had $100 in his wallet when he landed in New York City. So I'm the son of immigrants, and we started with nothing. In 1977, because of the oil boom, everybody was moving to Houston and Texas, so my parents got all their stuff in a car, put their 2 young kids in a car, and we drove down from New York to Houston. And very soon after moving to Houston, my father purchased some property in a small town called Huffman, Texas. Huffman is a rural community, mainly farming and ranching, and that's where I went to middle school, elementary, middle school, high school, and graduated from there. But growing up in Huffman, it was very good education for me because I got to meet all types of people. And that experience in growing up in a small community here in Texas really helped me become, I think, an effective trial lawyer because it really helps me connect with the jurors, not only when they're on the jury, but when we're picking the jurors during voir dire. It really gives me a lot of insight, and I'm very grateful for that experience that my parents gave me. I went on to UT, then to law school here in Houston, and then started my own firm back in 2001.
And now your firm is recognized as a very, very influential firm in many areas, specifically your practices, personal injury?
Yes, I practice personal injury, but I focus on international aviation accidents. So I'm board certified in personal injury. I'm board certified in civil trial. I'm also licensed as a solicitor in England and Wales, which very few U.S. qualified lawyers actually have their license in England and Wales. I'm one of those lawyers that have licenses on both sides of the pond. So, unfortunately, sometimes planes do have accidents, and when planes have accidents, I'm one of the lawyers that help represents the families to get compensation from the airlines and the manufacturers of the planes when something like this happens. Most recently, the case that we've been working on is a Boeing 737 MAX litigation, which was a brand new plane that Boeing introduced and sold to the airlines, but it had a defective MCAS system. I'm not going to get into the technology part of it, but the plane was malfunctioning, and unfortunately there were 2 horrific crashes, one in Indonesia and one in Ethiopia, in which everybody lost their lives, and the plane ended up being grounded for about 20 months. So we're working on those cases and trying to help the families around the world get justice.
Well, we're proud that you are in that space, if you will. I know that among Hispanics there are many misperceptions. So I'm sure in your community as well. I don't want to talk about the misperceptions, but talk to us about today. What are things that you want people who are watching this program to know about your community? So
our community is a very educated, well-established, law-abiding community. The stereotypes that you see on TV and sometimes in movies about our community are absolutely false. And most of the people who fall victim to those stereotypes are people that do not know our community. So I would encourage people who do not have friends from my community to reach out and meet us because, we would love to meet you. And the more you get to know us, the stronger we all become as a community. Yes.
And lastly, tell us what you would like your legacy to be.
So my grandparents, who also were very involved in raising me, always told me that to those to whom much is given, much is expected. And I've been blessed through my parents and my education and my success to reach a certain level in this society. And I want to continue to chart that path so that people coming behind me, as I was following leaders in front of me, continue to move forward and excel and reach even higher levels of success than I've been able to attain. So I want that to be my legacy. Well, and you certainly every day make a point to not only do well, but do good. And for that, Nomi, and so much more, we're so happy to recognize you as a Houston legend. And also on the personal level, you have been a great friend, and I've enjoyed seeing our children grow up to go on to do incredible things. And so thank you for that and so much more. Absolutely. Thank you for your time, Lauren. Thank you again for this honor. Absolutely. So we thank you for joining us as we recognize our Houston legend, Nomi Husain, for all of the great work that he has done in this city and continues to do throughout the country. And on behalf of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce,
Join us at our upcoming events, visit our website, and we thank you for all that you do to make Houston a great city. Thank you.